Hello everyone. Good morning. This is Dheeraj Gaonkar. I'll be taking your. I hope my audio and the videos all okay. Everybody
Yeah,
can
so
hear me properly and can be visible. Any thumbs up? Yep. So I'll be talking about about the Power BI and also why it is been required before going into the Power BI. That is where currently what currently I'm doing, what is my roles and responsibility that I'm going to talk about. That is, this is Dheeraj Gaukar, working since from last 10 and more than 10 years, working into the IT industry as a data architect, and working with the multiple technologies like developing the dashboards, developing the Power BI tools, Tableau, working on the basis of the Tableau. And I believe you guys have a little more knowledge about the SQL before going ahead for the Power BI technology. So uh, before going ahead with the Power BI session for today, let me give you a little brief what we require to have a why it is required a Power BI session, and why it is so much elegant currently in the current market. So let me share my screen and I can walk you through what we're gonna learn in this session, and how makes that difference between what are the difference majorly that we follow in the current market, difference between the Power BI or any other tool. Yep. So let me know if you guys can see my screen.
it's visible.
Yep. So the screen is visible, I believe.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. So let me go ahead with the course. So I'm not going to directly go with the course, guys. The first one that I really want to talk about, what are the prerequisites that we want to know about? It is for the Power BI desktop. Why? What are the things that we are going to cover, and what we are actually going to get the output from this, right? So if I talk about a little bit about a little refreshment for the Power BI, get into a Power BI hands-on. I want to have a little hands on the basis of the few thing that I want to understand how much are we good ahead with the the SQL that we or any data modeling concept that we want to do it, right? So let's take an example for the few of the things that we want to work on the basis of what are the tables, what are the these files that we want to work. So let's have a little refreshment before going ahead with this actual slides that we have almost covered. What are the introduction, what is the syllabus we gonna learn, complete syllabus. If I talk about the complete, that is we gonna learn the complete hands-on project. It is not something that we're gonna learn the theoretical. We're gonna learn the how we're gonna make that actual Power BI can be used into the our dashboards to use for the multiple yeah, for the companies, or for get the maximum analyticals can be used to use this Power BI tool. But yeah, before going ahead, I want to give a little insight or a refreshment about the tables. What is the table structure? I believe most of most of us, most of you guys have a little knowledge about the tables. What is the structure? So little refreshment I'm gonna give it. Let's say I have a table called employee, right? I am a employee of Amazon, let's assumption, and I have a table called employee, and which has the almost these are the fields assumption. Okay, those fields stores the data like this. Let's say my employee ID is 1 2 3 4. Let's say my employee name is Dheeraj, last name is Gonkar, location if I say, let's say Toronto, and pin code, let's say if I put it as a, let's say any value, that is, let's say 4 5 6 7 8 9. So let's say what is the structure that we are gonna follow, right? This states that the employee table has, these are the attributes, right? These are the attributes, that means these are the columns in the table that we have, right? This column states that employee ID is a number which is should be stored in the number. It is called the constraints, right? Constraints, that means that value should be stored in already in a pk value, that is called primary key. If I say pk, that means it should not it should have a unique value, firstly unique, and it should not be a not null. I'm just taking an example, guys. Before going ahead with the Power BI actual tool hands-on, I want to give a little heads up on the basis of how the structure would look like for the, just an example for the table. This value stores as a number, that is stores as a primary key. That means it should not be a null. That means every employee should be tagged with the employee ID. This is the business logic that we should have. What is the name? What is the last name? And these are the text format, that is called the varchar format. If you see, these are the text, that means we call it as a data type as a varchar, right? So it is called as a syntax in any, I mean, if you look at to the database called Oracle or any MS SQL server or any SQL that we are gonna touch, we are gonna feed the data from. This is the data type that we call it into stored into the databases. That is, if I want to store a dheeraj, that is a text, then I should have a data type called a varchar. Same way for an employee ID, it should be considered as a primary key, it should be as a number, it should be considered as a data type as a number. In the same way we have to put it for the pin code. Let's say when I joined the company, joining date, it should be considered as a date. That means let's say I've joined on 23rd today. Okay. Okay, so my joining date would be, data type would be look like as a timestamp, or that means it should have my dd that means date, month, YYYY, that is the year, that is hourly basis, that means what is the seconds that we gonna hh, that means hours, minutes, and the seconds. That means says that this denotes that I've joined today. That means today at what time, let's say I'll consider as I joined on 12 a.m., right? That means it is considered as this as a timestamp. Okay, I've joined on this time, so it considered as a timestamp. If it is date, then it will be considered as only the dd, and YYYY. So this is something that's table structure. This is just a sample I want to give it. Why it is, because it is very very essential. What kind of data types we gonna use it in this Power BI. I'm gonna teach you that how we can install the Power BI from the scratch, how we can use those CSV files or data types to be embedded those into the tools before going ahead, right? So let's say this is the table. Okay, it may have a multiple table. Let's say this is an employee table, it may have a department, right? So and so on, on which department I'm, let's say I'm working on the IT department, let's say, and it may have a department ID, it may have a department name. So those are the attributes. We call it as attributes for the Power BI. In Power BI terminology, we call it as an attribute. But same way for a table structure or for the databases, that we call it as attributes or columns. Those are the columns in available in the department table. So let's say those are the columns: department ID, department name, and the, let's say for which department, for which employee we are looking at, so it will be considered as a employee ID. So what is the correlation between, why I am pushing ahead? Because it is very essential to get the data model. Why we need to have a data model stable, because we're gonna learn that how we can develop the data model in Power BI. So that's the reason I want to give a little more idea about the data modeling concept, that is called the one-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationship, and it may have a cardinality concept, that is called what is the connection between this employee table and the department table. If you look at this, the employee table, it has the employee ID, right? And if you look at the department table, it has the employee ID department. Let's say I'll consider department 10. Department name is IT. Oh, sorry. Department name is IT. Okay. And my employee ID, as I said, 1234, right? That means I have a correlation called something is gonna have a similar value with respect to department and employee. So how do we get to know this, right? So this is called the data modeling, that we gonna have a relationship between these two table and have a cardinality concept. That means it is having the PK, right? This is my employee ID is my PK for for a employee table, but for a department table, employee ID will be my SK, right? For a department table, it will be as a employee ID would be my as a SK, or you can consider as a FK. This is called a foreign key. Why we need this foreign key? To have a entity relationship. If you see one department, okay, one employee ID can have a multiple. As I said, why we need this entity relationship? This is called one to many relationship. For an example, let's consider one more value or a data. Let's say there is one more entry that we're gonna insert, right? This is the employee table. I'm gonna inserting the new data. As I said, I'm gonna insert the Amit. He joined. His employee is 2343. Let's say Amit Shah, Toronto. Yeah, I'll consider as the India. Okay, let's take it as India. Pin code is 0000, and he joined. Let's take it as 2131. Let's say, and he joined on 21st. Okay, so let's say and same. Let's say the same entry. I want to do have one more entry. The department ID is the same for IT. Okay, and the employee ID, that means me and Amit both, right? Me and Amit both are in IT department, right? I have a relationship. That means these two data, if you look at these two data, Dheeraj and Amit have a different employee ID but working under the same department, right? This correlation called as a one to many correlation. That means I have a one ID have a many relation. That means I can be have a cardinality with the multiple tables, that I have a many relationship between the table. This is called the data modeling or a data cardinality concepts that I wanna walk through you, right? So this is a high level that I'm gonna talk about. This is the one to many. If let's say many to one, right? There are entity relationship that is called many to one also. That means one many, that means these are the, let's say I have another entry called 20, right? I have another entry called 30, let's say, in table, department table, right? And let's say the department name would be, take it as a finance. Let's say you can take it as a HR department name. Employee ID would be, let's say 2300, or let's take it as a 1000, right? So those are the entry. If you look at it, this is having my entry with the many relationship. That means these these are the many entries. Those are having many to one. That means this 10 departments having ID with the single entry with the employee table. That means it is having the different employees with the many to one relationship that stores as a entity relationship between many to one, and one to one relationship. That means I do not have any entry. The same one entry would be available over here, and a single entry will be available over here. That means I have a one to one relationship. There is no other many relationship or a many department with the employee ID, with the different employee ID will be available. So that means only one employee. If you could see in HR department, let's say I'll consider 20. Let's say take it as a Akshay, let's say take it as a Kumar, right? So this entry, if you see, I am having only one single entry, and over here also I am having a single entry. That means I have a two entries with the one to one. That means I do not have many relationship between department and the employee table. So this is just an example to overview that we require to have a what kind of the table and the entries that we're gonna work upon, what kind of data modeling required to have a data, what kind of data we're gonna deal with, and how we're gonna create the entity relationship to create a data model, right? So moving ahead with the next topic, I'm gonna come with the now with the actual Power BI tool that I'm gonna be walk you through. So let's let's talk about why Power BI, right? Why basically we need a Power BI desktop, right? Why not we can use the other, or why can't we use the Excel instead of Power? Because even the Excel also can create a dashboard or a reports or a pie charts. If you look at over here, we can easily create a pie chart, right? We can see, if you see over here, see, these are the pie charts. See, we can create any kind of 2D bar, 3D bar. Then why we need this a Power BI tool, right? This is a tool I'm gonna teach you guys how we can install this Power BI. But before that, why we need the Power BI, right? So Power BI is a very strong tool, right? What is the difference between Power BI and the Excel, right? Excel cannot connect to the any of the databases. Let's say for an example, Power BI can connect to the any of the databases. Any of the databases, that means you call it Oracle, MS SQL Server, Netezza, DB2, AWS services, and so on. There are a lot of things. Web API, you can connect any of the server, that means database servers, where you can directly connect to the Power BI and fetch the table level, as I said, fetch the table level data and load into the Power BI. So that can be very much easily available from the multiple ecosystems, right? So that is where we have a anonymous or n number of connectivity available in the Power BI, right? And why it is very simple. I'm walking through guys with the Power BI desktop. I'll show you that why it is a free version. There are two things in Power BI. That is a Power BI desktop, and there is one more called Power BI service. That is called Power BI desktop is a free version where you can directly log in and download that into your actual desktop, and simple. There is a no simple installation format where you can easily install, like we do it next and finish. That's it. Nothing. There are only 3 to 4 steps that are involved into the Power BI desktop. There is one more services called Power BI services. That it is the it has the agent installation. That means it is the you have to pay for it, like Amazon services, that we whatever the amount we want to work upon, we have to pay for it. So it is not a free version. So but what is the difference between these two? Both are same, right? 95 to 90% the tools, the functionality, the the front end, if you see the front end over here, this is the Power BI tool. The front end, everything is look, I mean, everything is same 95%. What is the difference between? It is the web based application. It is not a tool. So that is the difference, where you can have a few few more extra activity, where you can directly call the web services directly. You can call the Amazon services from the AWS, where you can directly get those data. So those activity we cannot do it in the free version. So only the major difference, right? So these are the major we're gonna learn, right? How we can download. So I'll show you how we're gonna download it. This is the first thing that we're gonna do it. See, I'm just gonna go ahead with the this site. Okay, go ahead with the https apps.microsoft.com, right? And with the store, you can over here write it down as a, you can type Power BI, right? If you see, if you once you can search for it, if you see there are Power BI desktop. Once you search for it, you're gonna see that Power BI desktop, it is a free version, right? So get that. If you click on this, it will ask you for the download, right? If you see, it is already downloaded in my desktop. So you do, if I download it, get in the store app, you can get it in store app. It has a 650 MB, which can be almost, it may take half an hour to get download. And the simple step is to get whatever the next only 3 steps are there. Only once you get the downloads done, do it with the 3 steps, next and the finished, you will be look like with this complete. You can, once you are done, then your application would look like this. This is would look like as a Power BI desktop. If you search over here, you'll get it. Once you're done with Power BI desktop, once you open it, it will be look like this, right? Before starting the Power BI, right? Before starting, we want to do a few of the settings changes that we want to do it. Few of the state settings, I'm going to show you that what are the state setting that we want to do. First setting, okay, that is, go to the option setting and go to the options. If you see, it is taking a, because it's a very huge tool, it may take some time. See, it is called, go to the direct to the here current file. Okay, whatever the file you are working on, current file, data load, always uncheck the second option, update or delete relationship, when they refreshing the data. Always unselect this, select this two and this one. Okay, go to the regional setting. Second, next way, after doing this two, go to the regional setting and do the English India instead of doing English India, because you guys are, wherever you're gonna work. Let's say I'm working for the US based company, then you might have to do with the United States. If you see over here, the date and time might be different. So if you can do this, is should be a regional setting, would be United States, right? There will be another that you should have to go ahead with the use application language. That is should be, you can put it as a use the application language, and go to the preview the features. Once you download and once you install this, there might be few things that it may not have all the select of all the, it may have unselected this, unselected this. You have to select all whatever available under the preview feature. So once you're done, click OK. Right, apply. It may take some time probably, because it is a very huge tool, where you just have to apply it. And then later on, once you apply, you're good. That means whatever the default setting you have done it, you have done it as per your convenient. Okay, just whatever you're gonna load it, it will be considered as per your requirement. If you see, it is getting loaded. Queries metadata load complete. right? It will automatically show you that, right? So this is what why we need, as we talked about, why we need the Power BI. Why, what is the difference between the Power BI? It is a very strong tool uh, to understand. Let's say for an example, I'll give a more example in terms of why we need Power BI or any other tool, dashboard tools, why we need. Have you guys heard about, I mean, any stock market that you go ahead and search for the stock market. Let's say if I search for a Tata Steel stocks, right, for a today, uh, it may have a 600 or 300 rupees for now, let's say for an example. If you see that chart, it is for a 5 years, 10 years, it is giving me the raw data on the basis of the live data. It is not having the prerequisite or a pre-data assumption, right? It has the complete raw data. It is a very live data showing me that yes, Tata Power or a Tata TCS share for a last 10 years, it was for a 2000, it was for a 1000. That day dashboard has been developed by this strongest tool. It can be developed by the Power BI. This is a one tool. There are multiple tools available in the market. There are Tableau also. There are business objects also, right? Those are the SAP business objects comes under the SAP tool. That is another called the Cognos. That is the IBM tool. These are the very much strong tool that can be achievable. That graphs, okay, from the graphs, me and any other, let's say I'm not from the IT background, I'm from the mechanical background, that can easily, anybody can get that. Okay, this shows that very much clear understanding about, okay, this Tata TCS, it was for a 5 years back, it was for a 1000, now it is for a 1500. This activity we can be achieved from the Power BI. That is where the in the market Power BI or any other data analytics tools are very much strongest in you, even though to have that knowledge and that provide that solution to the end customer. That means who is going to be take that analysis, who is going to have the any analytics forms or any let's say I'm the CEO of the company. I want to see CEO of the company of the any e-commerce site. Let's say I'm the CEO of the Amazon or any e-commerce site. I want to see how much sale I have been done for a past 1 quarter or a past 1 month. So I cannot go and check all the databases as I showed, right? It can have a sales table, it can have a OLTP model, right? It can have a multiple things can be stored into my databases. I cannot go and check, right? I want a simple dashboard which can give me a very simple visualization about how my sales was, how much my revenue was, how much profits have been done it. So that can be achievable by the this. I mean, any of the analytical tools that we are learning. This is can be for the Power BI. The second power most a tool that we are using. It can be used for the analytics. Analytic, that means I'll give an example. Okay, now you guys might have heard about chat GPT and those stuff, right? AI technologies, right? Why we need that why maximum people are using the Power BI for the AI technologies, right? Because it can be directly hit the cloud services. It can be directly hit the cloud services. That means it can be directly get the data from the AWS, from the AWS, or you can directly get the data from the web. From the web, that means, for an example, I want to see the Sachin. Let's say I am putting a search that I want to see the Sachin Tendulkar. I just put it in the Google, Sachin Tendulkar Wikipedia. Okay, I want to see how I can merge. There are a lot of data. If you see the Wikipedia, there are a lot of data over here. I don't want to go ahead. If I start reading all the data, I don't need want to go ahead for each and every data that I want to. What are the highlighted? What is behind that Sachin Tendulkar? What is the highlighted points I want to see? Right. So that can also be achievable by the Power BI. So for those analytics that we can, we can. It is a very strong tool where we use it. How we can get it? we can directly copy this URL and embed into this tool. This is the where you can directly go ahead. I'll teach you that what are the actual this is all about, what is this is all about, how we can get it through. But where we can directly, if you see, I'll give you I'll explain you each and everything with whatever it is mentioned over here. But let's say I want to see for a Sachin Tendulkar Wikipedia, I want to see that, where you can see web over here, right? From web you can directly put the URL, right? And from the URL you can directly paste the URL and get the whatever this table formatted data over here is mentioned. If you see what is the table formatted data, career statistics, that Sachin Tendulkar career statistics, these are the table that automatically my Power BI will get to know that okay, this is a table, it is available in my web URL HTTPS site, and it will give me that table representation, as I said, right? This is a table representation, and we can load that table into my Power BI. So this can be achievable. If you look at the advanced, where you can see the command timeout, you can put it the actual. If you want to have a header, that means what header I want to provide, all are the optional. If you still want to give the header, you can go ahead and give the your header as per your value, right? This is just an example. I'll gonna give, explain you each point. That means how we can load it from Excel, how we can load it from databases, how we can load it from the text CSV. I'll show you that, how we can load it from the text CSV, look it as a table, right? So this is what we're gonna learn it. So let's move ahead for the next PPT. That is what we're gonna learn it, right? What we're gonna learn it over here. If you see, look at over here, this is the dashboard. If you look, let me do a little zoom. Let me know if you guys can see. If you see Power BI self-service business intelligence platform, which includes the both desktop, as I said, desktop as well as web-based application, as I said, to do the connecting, modeling and visualizing the data. As I said, why it is required modeling. That's why I showed over here little example about one to many, many to one, and one to one. What is the correlation between the department and the employee? That's the reason we want to know over here, because it's a very strong. If you know the modeling, rest of the things can be very easily can be achievable. So that is where we want to majorly want to focus is the modeling, right? So that is called the data modeling or data warehousing concepts, where we're gonna learn it. So if you look at over here, these are the dashboard. Let me zoom it a little. I cannot zoom it. Yep. If you see this dashboard, oh, sorry, this dashboard, you guys gonna develop it. This session is all about gonna learn the actual hands-on project. Okay, it is not something that we're gonna have a theoretical. Yes, we wanna have a little theoretical knowledge concepts, but we're gonna learn the actual project based learning. That means we're gonna have a one projects, we're gonna give you the data, and you guys have to, I'm gonna teach you how we can go ahead with this, how we can develop this actual dashboard with the project based learning. This is we're gonna learn it in this session, right? In the upcoming class and the upcoming session we're gonna learn by one, because it has a lot of information. I don't want to jump all at the same time. I want to give a little breathe space time for all of you, because it's a very new for you guys might be. So I want to give a little breathe time uh, for you guys to understand the concept first, and then we can go ahead with the actual project based learning. All right. So this is we're gonna learn it. Yep. Next, go to the next slides. Okay. Why Power BI? As I mentioned, right? Why Power BI is required? As I said, connect, transform, and load the millions of rows. What it says? What it says? That means, as I said, connect to the any of this platform. That means it can be a database, it can be a CSV file, it can be a web file, as I explained. It can be anything. Let's say you don't know what table, so even though you can create your own table over here by clicking the blank query, where you can create your own table. That means, like this, as I said, you can create your own table and load it over here. So this is where we can connect for the any of the multiple ecosystem. Transform means we can load from A to B. That is called, I'll explain you in the detail what is transform. That means we have to transform from one A, for a layman language, if I talk about in a layman language, from A location to B location. It's a very simple. From A to B, I want to transform the data. From where to where? A to B. It's a very layman language I'm talking. Let's say I want to transform it from the database to CSV file, right? So that is the, where we can transform the data, or vice versa, from CSV file to database, right? So those two that we can achieve by transforming the data. Transform, that means once we connect the data, once we have the data, then transform. After the transform, then whatever you done the, transformation, just load the millions of data. Let's take an example, a real time example, right? Amazon. Are you guys, I mean, all of you aware of the Amazon, right? Everybody is using the Amazon service, e-commerce, sites, right? How many users are there in Amazons? Let's say I'm also using, there are a lot of users. And for a, let's say for a one day, if I talk about, let's take an example, one more example. For a one day, how much sales, how much sales has been, sales per day, right? It may have a lot, because it's a worldwide, right? It may have a lot of data, right? It may have a millions, billions of data, which can be stored under, let's say it can be stored under the sales purchase order. I'll explain you the e-commerce data model also in the later, because I don't want to uh, you know the mix up the both the things. It has the SCM, supply chain management, which works on the basis of the Amazon. How the Amazon SCM model works actual. So I'm just gonna take that the one single example. How much sales per day, right? I'm also taking, ordered almost 10 items today. For like, 100 customers have ordered 10 items, it may go went up to the huge amount of the volumes of the data. It may stored in the purchase order table, right? So it may have a 1 billion, let's say 1 million is equals to 10 lakhs data, right? Right? Let's say we have a 1 billion records. It may have, because it has a very huge data, so it is not so easy to, load the data into the on a regular, on a daily basis, because I want to see very quicker response, how we can get it through. So why, that is where the comes the optimization technique called as a, where we can do the optimization, where we can do the data related, we can transform the huge amount of data into the Power BI, where we require the Power BI. Second, build the relational model. As I said here, cardinality. That's why, before starting, I want to give a little brief, right? This is the model, relational model. Relational model, that means if you see create table, relationships, That means what relation I have between employee and department. What relation? Employee ID, right? These are the relation. That means this is the primary key in my employee table, and this is my FK, foreign key. This is the relationship where we can create or blends the data from the modeling. That is called the modeling. Define the complex calculation. Third point, where we can achieve from the Power BI calculation. That means I'm gonna give you one more example for this. Let's consider the same example, right? As I said, as I said, how much sales per day? For an example, I have a purchase order table. It has a lot of data, but I don't have the counts, right? So calculation, we are doing the calculation. That means counts on purchase ID, right? POID, that is called purchase order ID, right? It give me the total amount of the orders, right? That means this is not been stored in my table, right? It is not stored in my table, but I have calculated that column, right? To understand the business, to understand the business. Why? Because for the higher management want to see assumption that what is the analysis that we can do. Okay, where we can easily find out what is the count of the purchase order for a on a per day, on a 24 hours, how much sales has been counted, right? Where we can do, this is a function where we can do count on purchase order ID with respect to the per day, where we can calculate it, this extra column that is called the matrix. This is called the matrix column. That means I have, apart from this table, we, as per the analysis, we are calculating this column for a better analysis, and we are storing that into our Power BI section. This is our Power BI section where we are calculating this, right? So this is the complex calculation where we can do what is the highest amount of, let's say if I want to see anything, let's say I'll consider the salary also. Let's say I'll put it in employee table, salary, right? Let's say I have a salary of 50K, right? 50K USD. And let's say Amit has, let's say 60K, right? So if I want to see, there is employee ID where I don't have any, I only have this columns: employee ID, employee name, employee last name, location, PIN, joining date, and salary. I do not have the, what is the maximum? How do I find the maximum? For that, where we can create one more calculation called the max, where we can use the maximum of salary into the employee table, where I can get, okay, I can understand, okay, 60,000 is the maximum salary for the Amit, where we can calculate into this Power BI after loading the table, after loading the table, and we can get the this calculation, bring the calculation, and multiple calculation that we can. I'm just explaining you the two, one of this, the records that I've shown, where we can find out the counts and the maximum, calculations. So that is called the DAX. That means I'm doing the data analysis and I'm putting the expression, that is called the DAX, data analysis expression, that is called DAX, that I've calculated apart from the table and loaded into my Power BI for a better analysis. Bring the data to the life with the interactive reports and the dashboard. As I said, we're gonna, once we have everything set, data model, we loaded the table, then we're gonna have the visualization. That means we are gonna create the reports and the dashboards, right? And then we can have the develop a versatile in-demand skill set. That means once you are have the Power BI, all these four, if you, let's say, if you know how to connect, if you know how to transform the data, if you know how to handle the millions of records and load into a Power BI, do you know how to create the data models, how the entity relationship can be consider, What are the calculation on, better calculation can you perform on the basis of the DAX and the availability table. And the after that, if you know the better visualization by creating the dashboards and the reports, then you're good. Then definitely your 90 to 95% of the work has been done. That it is a very versatile and in demand skill set that everyone in current industry need this Power BI. How the majorly can be easily, it can be used for the data engineering folks, it can be used for the data analytics folks, it can be used for AI engineers. Those are the three majors for the teams you're gonna provide the data and give the analysis to them. So that is where it is very powerful. Once you have it, then it's a very high demand in current market right now, right? All right. So I'll be moving at. Let me know, guys. I'm going little faster or I'm going little. Should I go little slow, guys? Is it all right, guys? Should I have put it as a little slow or should I go a little faster? Or you guys are getting a little confirmation on, okay, whatever that just now we learn, is it all right that we learned, at least we got a few things before starting the hands on the Power BI, right? So let's move ahead with the, as I said, about what is the difference between the Excel and the Power BI, as I said, right? If you see the left hand side over here, Excel, we have a spreadsheet. We can do, as I said, we can do the pivot, we can do the any kind of charts, any kind of graphs. We can do it in Excel also, but why we need Power BI, right? We can do any types of formulas, right? We can see over here in right now, if you see there is a function, right? Where we can directly we can put it as a max, right? We have a max function over here. Then why we would need the Power BI? What is the use of Power BI? Here, if you see the intersection, these are the three majorly that we would majorly look for the Power BI, right? Power query, where we cannot have it in Excel, where we cannot create any Power query, right? We cannot have that select star from this table, right? We cannot have this in Excel, right? We cannot have this, but that is available in my Power BI, where we can directly go ahead and query the table, where we can connect to the multiple databases, right? We can create the data model, as I said, right? Data model, that means over here, where we can have an entity relationship between department and the employee, right? Where we cannot be achieved over here, right? We cannot have a data model, we cannot connect between these two. How the entity can be stored into database? No, we cannot store here, but same thing can be achievable into my Power BI section. And this is the DEX. Last option is the DEX, that is, as I said, data analytics expressions. That means it will gonna give me the expressions, that, as I said, calculation. What is the sales order? What is the count of the sales order, right? What is the maximum salary of the employee? So that can be achievable by the DAX. Let's move on with the next, right? So what we're gonna learn, I'm gonna say that the next, yep. See over here, as I explained, installing the Power BI desktop. How you gonna install it? There are three ways. If you see, go to the apps.microsoft.com over here. Go and type the Power BI. As I said, go to the Power BI apps dot and download as per the over here. Get it. You click on get, then it will be automatically, it will give you the updates, and automatically the updates are already been automatically will be taken care. There is, you don't need to take care for the latest updates. The second option, if this doesn't work, then you can directly go to their site. If you see, their site, that means powerbi.microsoft.com. Under the downloads, you will find this Microsoft desktop. It's a free version. Okay, and the last one in the Microsoft Open Office, if you see Office 365, where you can directly get that. But easy way to get it is this one. Go to the apps.microsoft and type the Power BI as I mentioned you the little demo and get it, right? After the installing, as I said, only 3 steps. That will be next it will be ask you for where which location you want to install, and just do the finished. After finished, you're done. You are gonna open like this site will be open as a your Power BI tool, that is the free version. So as I said, what are the default setting that we want to do it? These are the default setting, as I said, right? Go to the, once you are downloading, go to the preview feature, select all the whatever the checks, because there might be default setting, there might be few of the things it may or may not be checked, but for a safer side, go ahead and check all the mentioned checkbox over here. Go to this option setting over here. I'm again showing you guys. Go to the file after the installing. Go to the file. Go to the option and setting. Go to the options. It may take some time because it's a very huge tool. It may because it depends on how RAM you know your computer is using. So make sure you have a very good RAM in your, because it may take some time if you have very less RAM availability in your computer, because it's a very huge tool. It may lag in case if you don't have a very fast connection, right? So go to the preview feature, check all this, right? Go to the data load, check first one and last one, and regional setting, go to the United States. Those things, those are explained over here. Uncheck this and go to the regional setting, English United States, right? Let's move ahead for the next thing, right? So this is the dashboard. So I have zoomed it. I did not zoomed it. But here if you see, right? You'll see that, right? This is the dashboard. You will gonna learn it. I mean, how we can see, if you see that, let me zoom it little bit. If we can do it, let me do a zoom. Yep. Let me know if you see. Here you can see that monthly revenue, right? Monthly revenue, monthly order, and monthly return. You guys can see the zoom area, correct? Whatever they highlighted. Here, if you see the monthly revenue, monthly orders, here these are live data. As I said, these are the charts that you're gonna develop, actual projects, hands-on projects. This can be achievable after the once you are done with your the basics, how you can load the data, second data model, and then the tags. Once you're done with these three, you can do the data visualization report. This is called the dashboard and the reports, where you can directly develop. This is the last step. This is where the whole, I mean, the higher management from the company, they majorly look for this thing, right? I want to see what is the revenue. They'll see that, okay, revenue is 10.2 for July 2022. Okay, it went up. The monthly returns on the 0.5 million for a January 2022. So you can easily understand, yeah, my monthly revenue is went down from January to June, right? So this is analytics that they gonna do it. What is the standard deviation? What is the average, timeline that they gonna do it? So that is the analysis that we're gonna do it in the upcoming lectures, right? So let's move ahead for the next, the topic, that is there is one more call I'm gonna show you, that is the Power Query Editor. As I said, the Excel do not have the query editor, but we have the Power Query Editor. It is under over here, right? Where you can load the data, where you can visualize the data, and you can play around with the data under this Power Query Editor. Where you're gonna find it, I'm gonna show you. Go to the Power BI. Let me do this. Let me cancel this. If you see here, transform the data under home. If you see here, transform the data, you have to click on transform the data and click on the transform data. There will be another tab will be open, right? So if you see, yeah, this is called the Power Query Editor over here. If you see the headline of this, there is a one more called Power Query Editor. It will enable you guys to play around with the data. For an example, I can enter the data. I can fetch from the Excel sheet. I can fetch from the CSV file. I can fetch from the web, as I said, right? So those data can be visible over here in under the Power Query, like this in this example. If you see this example, they have they have taken out the few of the sheets that easily data can be visible over here. I'm gonna show you that how we can do that actual, right? But if you see in this screenshot where the data it look like, how the data is look like, right? So this is can be achieved. So let me show you that how we can do it for one data in Power Editor. Let me show you that. Let me get you the one data. Let's take the CSV file. Let's click on new sources over here. New sources, connect to the text CSV. If you see, this is the data. I have taken it for the project, hands-on project. If you see over here, this is my data I have prepared for the hands-on project, right? These are the data: calendar, product strategies, return data, territory data, sales, and customers. These are the data. Okay. I have created as a sample where you can have a hands-on understanding. So let's take one of the data Excel. Okay. Let's take it as a customer lookup. Once you okay, it will ask for you the one pop-up. It is connecting for the have a connection between your CSV file and your data Power Query. It may take a little time. Yep. Now you can see. If you see here, where my here is the table that I have taken it from the CSV, customer.csv, right? Customer lookup.csv, where I have taken it from the file and loading into my current model. That means current Power BI. I'm loading it. What are the tables, columns that I have? Customer key, right? What is the customer is for? Customer lookup. That means what are the customers? Those have ordered the sales that shows over here, right? Customer key. That means it's a primary key that I explain over here, right? What is the primary key for employee? That is the employee ID, right? Same way over here for a customer lookup, what is the primary key? It is the customer key is a primary key, right? Second, what is the prefix? That means is the guy Mr. or Mrs. That prefix, that's data is being stored under the second column. First name, last name, what is the birth date, marital status, gender, email address, annual income, total children's, and those are the datas that we have, right? Once you click on here, there are three things. File origin, where it is the origin. Okay, it's a Western European, right? the data stores under the western side, right? What is a delimited? That is a comma delimit. You can change whatever you want. You can use space, you can use comma, you can use, for now we consider as a comma. And based on our first is just a 200 row. If you see, there are only 200 rows that are we are showing up into our Power BI. Only 200 rows, just for a preview how the data would look like, right? Once we click on OK, okay. Once you click on OK, that means we are good to go and loaded the table. If you see over here at the left side, right? If you see over here, left side, I have created one table, right? Which stores what it says that what it's stating me that it has loaded the data with the prefix, which stores all the data. This is the data where I'm gonna deal with. These are the complete data that I'm gonna, have that in my storage, right? And if you want to save this data, assumption, if I let's say I want to store this data, so it's simple. What you have to do, save, control asset. You just put as a control S. You give the name as a, let's say I'll give the name sample, and store into wherever you want to. Let's say I'll gonna save in my desktop. This is the complete. I'll gonna save under my desktop. Okay, let's save it. So after the saving, okay, your this thing has been saved, your dashboard has been saved. Then you want to load this data into your Power BI model. Then you just have to say that apply the changes. That means whatever we have over here, it will be stored under my data model. That means I have to click over here and it will automatically stored into my data model. This is what it is showing it over here. Here, if you see loading the data, no, Abhishek, DAX is available. If I talk about, CSV, DAX can be calculative form. I mean, Abhishek, it is available in Excel. Yes, it is available in Excel, but it is the functionality where, as of now, we have done it for the, for the we this have connected to the databases, and then we are connecting. But here we don't have any databases, right? Where we can directly go and do the function, where you can directly see these are the functionalities that are available: sum, average, right, counts, max, mean. That can be achievable. But where if I talk about, I want to connect to the database, assumption, right? So I cannot be directly connect to the database and do this tax in Excel, right? But same can be achievable, connect to the database and do it, right? So that can be achievable by the, over here, by the DAX, by the Power BI. It may take some time because it's a 1.8 MB records. It may take some time to load it. Meantime, this is how we gonna load. I just want to show you. This is the Power Query, as I explained, Power Query, and then load to the Power BI front end, right? I believe, does it affects in actual CSV sheet? No, no. Whatever, because it's a source, you are going to direct CSV format. You are bringing the CSV into your location. Means you're bringing into the Power BI tool. Not, you're not gonna touch with the actual sheet, right? We are not touching the actual sheet. So it will not gonna hamper or gonna touch or affect the actual CSV file. Whatever you wanna touch it, you will gonna touch it in the Power BI, right? I hope it's clear. Yeah, let's move ahead. As I said, there is a Power Query. Then we're gonna how we can load it from the CSV, how we can store that data into our Power BI. So that we have shown it. Let's move ahead for the next thing. See, this is what as I showed. Power Query Editor. This has the three tools: model view, data view, and the report view. Right? Model view says that it is looks like this. See, if you see over here, it's taking a little time. I'm not sure it got hanged, I believe. Then let's see. Let's wait for a because it is getting loaded. We save the file. It is getting loaded for now. So let's see. As I showed, right? We have taken out the customer data and stored into our Power Query and we saved it, right? So that is where we have a three visualization. There is a one model view, data view, and the report view, right? So this is the data model view look like, right? This is a model view. As I said, this is called the data model. I'm gonna teach you what is the data model, right? So how the data model is gonna look like. This this is, as I said, these are the connections. If you see the connection between these table, calendar lookup, customer lookup. Just now we loaded the customer lookup, territory lookup. These are the files. These are the data. I'm talking about this table. You might be surprised. What are these? These are the data that is been required for the hands-on table. I've created the hands-on data to understand the data model, right? So I'm not gonna deep dive in the data model for now because it might be a little confusing. I'll just gonna give a little more a summarized way to have a uh, the understanding because the data modeling there will be a separate session I'm gonna take it to have a pure understanding about the data model because the data model is the one where if your data model is right then you can develop any kind of reports, any kind of dashboards. So I don't want to confuse or have a have all at the same time. But yes, I want to give a little more summarized way of understanding. We just loaded. I hope my audio is correct. You guys can hear me properly. I think I can show. I got it. The low quality. You guys can hear me properly. Thumbs up. Uh, or Nikhil, you can hear me. You can chat it in my chats. All good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So it is went on the not responding. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. I think let me reopen that the session. Just give me 2 minutes because my system has got hanged. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. Top reader, let me end this session. Let me do a little quick open again. Open with PDF. All right. Okay. All right. We are good. So let me share my screen again. Sorry, guys, for a little disturbance. Let me know if you can see my screen again. So, yep. So where were we? We were talking about the Power BI query editor, where we can load from the any of the table. And after the Power BI query editor, we we only talked about the data modeling, right? As I said, why we need the data modeling and why it is so much essential to have it, right? So here is the catch. I just want to do a little zoom. Okay, guys. This we talked. This we talked, I believe. This is, yep. This is the data model that we were talking about. I'm gonna zoom it a little bit. Yep. So just now we have downloaded, we loaded this table. Let's say these are the files, right? Don't look for the what are the data inside that. I'm gonna explain you because it has, I've stored that all the files in over here. If you see in downloads, I have complete adventure. Let me show you that data, raw data. If you over here, if you look at over here, I have all the raw data over here, right? It shows that what is the calendar data, customer data, product lookup data, categorized data, returns data, then sales data. Those are the data that we have it, and same data we already done it over here. We get the data as we done it for the customer lookup. Same way we load it into our Power Query. Okay, in Power BI desktop free tool that we have, taken out from this CSV files and loaded into this. But if you look at over here in data model, I'm gonna have a separate session for a complete data model, but I'm gonna give a little just a brief on this. If you see these lines, right? What are those lines, right? One to many. If you see over here, one star with many, right? This is one which is going star with many. That's why I want to show you before going ahead to the actual Power BI session. We want to show you this, why it is been required to know one to many relationship, why employee and the departments have a, what is the entity relationship between them, where we are, we can easily see that, right? Calendar lookup. If you see calendar lookup, let me zoom it a little bit more. Calendar lookup has, right, many. If you see calendar lookups table, what are the entities that we have? Date, day name, day of week, and month's name, right? If you see what we can have that in calendar to sales data, what relationship between we have, right? If you see the date, order date, right? We cannot get these. So that date can be achievable from the calendar table, right? So that is where we need the entity relationship. Okay, I want to know sales data, right? Sales data, what is the sales data that we have? Customer key. Okay, yes. Who, as I said, as I taken out already the example for the Amazon, that what is the sales per day, right? So the customer, who is the customer has been raised for that order. What is the order date? What are the items? For an example, I have order one purchase that for today. Let's say I have ordered the one purchase order. Under that, I have a five items: earphones, headphones, mobile, chargers, and shirts. So that can be called it as a order items, right? Under that, the customer key will be same, right? Because 1 2 3 4, right? That 1 2 3 4 is the primary key for this sales data, right? So that is why I want to show you what is the primary key for each table. That means it should not have a null, and it is a unique value under this table to understand what are the line items. And if you want to see what is the order number, what is the order quantity, if I order for a you know two twice as a headphone, or whether I have ordered two items for a phones, so those storage will be stored under the quantity. And those, what is the stock date? So whatever, if you see the relationship between one to many, that means a date can be have a multiple. That means let's say I have order for 23/9/2023. That means uh I am I have ordered for 23 September. That might be you guys have also ordered for the same date, right? So it is having the one to many, but the date for a today can be stored only once under the calendar, but it can be stored here as a multiple times. For an example, I'll give you here the little quick as a date table that we have assumption that, let's say we have a, as we can say date, we have a date column, right? What column? Next we have date name, day name. We'll take only one or two. I don't want to day of week. Okay, so what data? Let's say 23. Let's say, because date table, it may have all the dates corresponding till 12 months, complete 1 years of data. Let's say I want to see the complete date, means let's say I'm a business analyst. Okay, I want to understand that I want to look for the last 5 years revenue for my company. Then I should not have only 12 months of data. I should have almost at least 5 years of data. Each date will be a unique over here, right? Each date, that means since from 5 years down the lane, that means let's say starting from 01/01/2017, right? To last date would be today's date, 09/2023, right? So that complete data will be stored uniquely because it's a unique. No, none of the date will be repeated, right? So it is having a very single record, that is called the one records under the my date, right? And what is the day name? Let's say I'm not sure about the 1st January. Let's say I'll consider as a Monday. Let's take it as a Monday for 1st January 2017. But for today it is Sunday. So those are the values will be stored. And what is the day of the week? Let's say I'm putting day as a week as a Sunday's week. That means we call it as a Sunday to Saturday as the first week. That means it started from the Sunday. And this is also a Sunday because it's starting from the Sundays as a first week, right? This data, fair enough in date table, right? Let's take the sales data now. Sales table, right? What are the columns that we have? Let's say customer key. Again, I said it is a foreign, it is a primary key, right? I'm taking, moving ahead with the primary. Order date, order line name, order line item. Let's take only three columns. Okay, let's say customer key. As I say, primary key. I am a customer called, I have Amazon account. I have considered a customer 1234. Okay, order date, I have order for 23/09/2023. Okay, let's take the customer name. It may have a customer name also, right? Let's take it as my name. Order line item, that means I have order, let's say headphone. Okay, this is the data it would be look like. Let's take one more, because the primary key it cannot be repeated. Let's take the same another customer have order. Let's say I'm taking as a customer key 1 2 3 4 5, because it's a unique and it should not be a not null, and it should not be repeated values, right? For the same customer name, right? I have ordered the iPhone, let's say, and date is same, right? If you look at from this two data, you can understand, right? This is my primary key. Here, date is my primary key because it is never or not null, and it is a unique value. So here it is a one record in date. Here customer key is a one record, but what is the relationship between them, right? One record with the order date, right? Order date. If I say order date, right? Sorry, it is giving me multiple. Okay, yeah. Order date. If you see, both are same, right? But my primary key, because I have ordered two things, it is valid scenario, right? It should not be something like it should be a, okay, you have ordered, but it's a very valid scenario. Yeah, this customer can have ordered the two things on the same date, right? But in my date table, it is having a very single entry that is called one to many relationship. This is where if you see over here, calendar lookup, date, where we have a 1 2 star, that is many relationship, and same with all the other. If you see returns data, if you see customers data, if you see territory, for which location we gonna send this item, what is the product, that means what is the model, I mean iPhone which, 14 or 13 or any Samsung, what which product that we are ordering it, right? What is the subcategory, that means what is the category under, is it the mobile phone, or is it the headphone, or is it the electronics gadgets? Those are the subcategories and categories would be stored over here, right? And those entries called as a data model, that is where we basically required to understand that, okay, that here is that we should have that entity relationship between the table and the cells, right? This is called the one to many relationship. That's why I wanted to, before we start ahead, we wanted to, you know, we wanted to show this, that, okay, this is where we can have that understanding between what is a one to many, what is a many to one, and what is one to one, right? Yep. See, this is what one a course outline would be. What we are going to understand, introducing the desktop, how we can connect and shaping the data, how we can create the data model, as I said, how calculating measures and DAX, and after that, once we are done, how we can visualize the dashboards, right? So let's move ahead. Here, if you see, data has been loaded and then transformed into the Power Query editor after the model view and the data view. These are the three views under the. I'm gonna show you that where we see that under in the left corner where we can see the model view, data view, and the report view. Right. Let's move ahead with the next. This is where we're gonna learn how we can make that complete dashboard. Right. Now let's say these are the services. As I said, what are the Power BI desktop? This is the services there we can directly connect to the cloud services. These are the cloud services. This is the free version, but it is the paid version. If you see the second one, this is the paid version where you have to, I mean, just have to have agents to be installed, and accordingly we have to pay for the services as per the, yeah. So the first topic that we're gonna cover, that is connecting and shaping the data, right? As I already showed how we can connect and shaping the data. If you see, right, these are the connectors I want to show you. As I said in Power BI, let me re-log in again. I'm gonna open my Power BI sample, right? Here we can see that this is where multiple, how much multiple where we can connect to the multiple source systems. Here from here where we can understand whatever the type of things where we can connect to, right? It is getting connected. Let's wait for it. Here you can see we can connect to the data connectors. We can connect to the query editor. As I said, query editor, connection modes, table transformations, combining the queries, and calendar tools. These are the major topics we will gonna cover under the connecting and shaping the data, where we have to connect to the uh, you know to the multiple ecosystems. Let's say we have a table, we have a database, we have a file system, we have a web-based APIs where we can directly connect, right? Here is the front end and the back end. Front end is this one. If you see, Power BI is our front end application. But what you know actually happened in the back end, if you see, connect and extract, that we can do it in back end, right? We can do it modeling, data model and report, where we can usually show that to the customers or end senior managements that, yeah, this is the data model where we can see it, and this is the visualization dashboard that we can show. That is in the front end, right? But in back end where we can show, it is the Power BI query, as I showed that, right, where there is a transform, the data where we can directly click to, and where we can do the connect to the database and have that connector involved and get the data enabled into my Power BI. Once we have a backend, then only we can connect to this data model and report. Let's move ahead for the next, and I'll show you meantime how we can connect this Power BI. It is little slow. right here. So next topic that I'll gonna connect inside that data connectors, right? If you see inside the data connector, there is called home. Inside that home, if you see, I think it is going again and again.
Uh, yeah, let's begin this because the time.
Yep. So as we are talking about the data connectors, right? So here, if you see, if you go to the you know to the dashboards or the Power BI, if you see over here, right, get data. So this is a section. If you see the left corner, this is a section. This is the Power BI complete. As I guys mentioned you that this is my Power BI modeling structured would look like. Okay. And this is my, if you see over here, let me scroll a little bit. These are the three report view I have already mentioned in the PDF. If you see, this is my the report view, this is my table view, and this is my model view. Currently I'm at the model view. See, right, which stage that I've already get my all the territory lookup, product lookup, and this subcategory category lookup, right? If you see here at the table, if you want to see what is the customer lookup, you can directly click over here and you can see that. What is the product category lookup, where you can see that, right? Where by one, where you can see what is my selection of this by clicking on the left side. This is under my model view. This is called the data model view. Under my Power BI section front end, as I said, here is the front end as we talked about, right? Front end, this is a data connector. Yeah, front end that we talked about, right? This is the front end view that we are looking at. If you want to see the what is the section that we can see over here, these are the sections. Get data from where, let's say, if we want to see from where we want to get the data, right? These are the data from where I've taken out. It's a very simple way from the text CSV. As I mentioned, we just have to connect for an example. We just want to connect to the CSV files. This is the CSV files. I have bring it from over here. This is just a sample data, right? From here, we can directly get the data at the from the sample side, right? Where I've get it from the CSV file. Let's get open from the CSV file. Let's take it in the downloads, raw data, go to the work, and I'm just clicking on whatever, let's say I do not, these are the data that I've already stored it, right? So if you see category, let's take it as a category. I have category, customer categories lookup, product lookup, subcategory, and territory. Let's take it as a sales data. Okay. Let's get open. It will getting connected with the, please wait while we establish the connection to the adventure work sales data. It will be taking under my model view. Here there will be one more table will be added. Call it as a this one, right? Connecting to the my data connector. This is how we can do it. Let's wait to get that data over here. Right? This is where, as I showed, right? Connecting to the data, get the data, go ahead with the Excel sheet, and these are the format. Let's say if you want to connect to the flat files, right? Where you can have to write under that, you'll see all, right? Inside, as I showed over here, where you will find out all the data. Here is it is getting loaded. Preview is in evaluating. So let's wait. Here you will see, okay, load the data. Okay, if you, there are three options. If you see over here, there are three options: load, transform, and cancel. So load, that means it will be load directly into our Power BI. As you can see over here, customer is lookup has got loaded, product category has got loaded. Same way, the same way we did it for now for a sale, same way we did for the customer, product, product category, subcategory, and territory. If we load, if you want to transform the data, this is where, as I said, right, this is called backend. This is called the Power Query Editor, right? This is, that means my, it will go under my Power Query Editor. Let's click on this Power Query. Let's click on the transform the data. So it will be a new window will be open where you can transform the data. See, there is one new window has been opened where you can, whatever the logics or as I said, DAX, right? Data analytics that you want to do it, where you can do, right? For an example, okay? Let me show you that. Here there is a column called add column, right? Third row, third, third, column where you can see. Let's say I want to add one more column, as I, someone asked me, right? If I change anything, will that impact my existing? No. If I add this column, sorry, what column I want to add, right? If I select a duplicate column, let's say I want to add a duplicate column. See which column, whatever column I selected, that column has got the order date copy. So these are the, additional where we can do it under the transforming the data here in the back end. So that is where we use the extract and transform and load through the, ETL, and load it into our front end data model. Let's do one thing. Let's take it as this, you know Power Editor. As I said, this data has been copied, and let's save this. Okay, let's save this because we transformed it. We created one copy. Let's save. I've saved it. There are pending changes in your query haven't been applied. Let's apply it. Control S. You just did the apply. It will get load. It will take some time because it has a very huge data. So that's why it's a, you may find a little lagging because you are using the Power Query as well as you are using the front end application. So this is where I want to show you guys how we can load the data and transform the data. Here you can see, right, in Excel, here in Power BI, there is a transforming the data where the same Power Query Editor will be getting open. right? This Power Query will be getting open. So here, if you see, it is getting loaded. Adventure work cells, we saved this model. It is creating connection between the model. See, so it will take some time. And after the connection, here are the query editor tools. I want to explain you guys what we can do. As I explained you a little bit, these are the settings that, where we can do the transforming. Here the second setting, as I showed, transform the tab, modify the existing column, right? What we modify, we added one column extra, right? Copy column, where you can see add column in the third, tab, where you can add column and the create a copy, and we saved it. The same activity we done over here, and we save that activity, right, over here. Here, see how much rows has been loaded. 2630 rows has been loaded with add column. It has been modified, and with a duplicate column. And let's do save this and load into our model, data model. What we have to do, we have to go to this simple thing. We have to go again back with the next step, that once you are done, remove column. See, these are the basic transformation that we can do. I have just added the columns. So where we can do, once we are done with this, we added, then we just have to save our into and load into our data model, actual front end. So where we can get that data and load into our data model, right? So here we have duplicated column. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's save this. Okay, close and apply. Once we apply, we already saved it. Once we apply, this data automatically will be applied in our data model over here. As we saw, right? Over here, it will be automatically applied. So let's wait. See, we loaded. If you guys see that adventure work sales data has been added. If you guys see that newly data that we develop and we transform from here, it is automatically has been added under the adventure work sales data. And whatever we did extract, whatever the transform that we do, let's check up. Let's check this out. What extract that we have done it. There will be a one more column will be got extra, right? It will take some time, I believe. Let's wait for that. Yep. If you see, if you see my screen, there is an order date copy that we did the extract. There is one more column that we did the transform. That is, that copy has been created over here, right? But it is not available in my actual sheet, right? If you see over here, sales data, it has been not over here. If you see, that data is been source data will not be changed. Whatever the transform that we want to do it, it will be changed under this. And if you see, automatically my relationship has been created. If you see that, it is one to one. See, I've shown you guys, right? What is one to one relationship between this customer and the sales, that it is been created as a automatically relationship where we can do. I'll gonna explain that how join where we can do is how one to many relation join, where we can do it on the basis of the joining condition. I'll gonna explain that in a very different session, because it will be very particularly with the data model itself. right? And this says that little, how we can, simply add a column or do the a little transformation, I believe. This all that data we can see it that will be created in Power BI. Yes, you are right. It will be created in Power BI. Yes, we transformed it and it will be created under in your Power BI. We load it, right? We showed you. We load it under the Power Query and we load it. And then we got to know that yes, one more extra column has been transformed. Right? Am I clear? I mean, is your doubt cleared? Yep. So here onwards, I believe, I think we're gonna stop. I'll gonna cover a little more because I don't want to hurry up for the next, things that are there. We're gonna learn a little more about what are the, the transformation, table transformation that we can do. What are the table level? There is one assignment. See, table assignment. I'll gonna show you this assignment, what is the key objects, how we can achieve this, key objects that already done it, we already done that, but I'll gonna show you that how we can do, how we can create, even though we have shown you that, I have already shown you that that's how we can create a one copy, one extra column, that one assignment we're gonna do under this, that in the upcoming lecture. And what are the storage and other connection modes that we can apply. Now we have done it for the CSV file, correct? Right? There are other also, if you see over here, SQL server, that means it will connect to my databases. There is one more called, if you, let's say, if you go and create on more, get the data from multiple things, you'll see that there are a lot of whatever you wanna type, you'll get all the connections required. See, if you see all, let's type database. See, from which database you want. Do you want from MS SQL database? Do you want from DB2 database? Do you want from Oracle database? So I'm gonna show you how we can connect it, even though it needs the licensings that we don't have, but I'll show you that how we can connect with the skeleton. Skeleton, that means what are the entries that we required to connect to the Oracle database and rest of the database. If you know the one database, then you can easily can get it to the all the other database, right? Then you have another uh, you know services called, as I said, Azure, right? This is a power, again it is all the Microsoft services that we can directly connect to the Azure SQL database, where we can directly connect to the, data bricks from the, this can't be achieved from this Excel sheet, right? Where you can directly convert or they can directly connect to this cloud services, right? So there, these are the things where we can, connect, and I'm going to show you that in upcoming sessions by tomorrow, I believe. So, and apart from that, I'm going to show you what is this, you know uh, you know what we can more achieve by doing the transforming the data here. This is a very powerful engine. It will once, as I said, right? Once whenever we create on transform data, it will create a power query, and it whatever the ETL logic you wanna perform, you're gonna perform under this. And it will be, once you are done with the ETL logic, just now we did it for the uh, you know of- copying or adding one column, and we saved it and we loaded into our Power BI model. The same way we're gonna do a few more things through by doing the little assignments, right? I hope, and I'm gonna conclude by doing this, and I'm gonna open for the any of the Q&A session for you guys. So yeah, any questions since from the beginning, where we can have that open sessions, Q&A sessions.
Hey Dheeraj.
Hey,
Hey Dheeraj. Yeah, I'm audible. So maybe you can
yep,
stop share and I can just open these.
yep.
So, hey guys, you can go one by one, right? Maybe one of can try unmute themselves. Can you confirm, Arif? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I
Okay.
sorry I didn't get you.
So we're gonna have a like we are almost done with today's meeting. So we're gonna
Okay.
have a small Q&A session, right?
No,
So
so far
Dheeraj,
so good. I understood everything, and as I like stayed you one side, I it would be better if I can also do it